politicians. Ian, inside politics, inside Metro. Introduce yourself.
I'm good. My name is Nkosindiphile.
Puti.
Yes.
Nice meeting you.
We are a publication, yes.
Okay.
Called Inside Metros. This is Jonathan Pauli.
Jonathan, I like the red ties.
Well, we just forced it again. Welcome to Inside Metro. My name is Nkosindiphile. I'm here with the newly elected mayor of Ekurhuleni. I'm with Jonathan Pauli. Mayor, good afternoon. How are you?
Afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm very good, actually. I woke up this morning, went to read the Fontaine, is a landfill site in Springs. That landfill site has been closed for quite some time. So we're opening it today. In terms of disposal of waste in the waste value chain, it's a very critical asset that you must have, and it must be operational. Because once that asset is not operational, it does impact on your ability to collect waste and collect on time. So we're quite happy that we actually got that time to actually go there, meet with communities, unlock some of the bottlenecks there. So it has been a working day.
You're already hitting the ground running. What other plans have you looked into to say you're going to bring to your under administration?
We will articulate in greater detail the plans in the State of the City's address, which is planned for Tuesday, 30th April, here in Germiston. We take pride in the work that we've been doing in the past 2 weeks. Our first day in office, we got elected on the 11th of April. Just in the evening, we had to go in Tembisa to address a community meeting there in the Rabasutu Hall. You know Tembisa Township. It's one of the critical areas, big township. Is the second biggest township after Soweto. And you can imagine the community there and the type of issues that are there. But when there, we actually engage with communities on our first day in the office. We are planning to go back there to actually have a proper community engagement. But importantly, there are issues around credit control, the ability of our communities to pay for services, and what we do as the municipality in trying to collect. Of course, there are issues about how much our communities understand the indigent program. We need to explain and simplify it, but also some of the intervention that we're doing for debt rehabilitation for those who are actually in debt. How do we get to rehabilitate them and get them to actually benefit from some of the, but really we have to make sure that we meet our communities halfway, in particular those the poorest of the poor. So really that has been just to highlight just one area in the office. So we have been busy. I'm giving you an account of today. I'm giving you an account of the first day. And we can talk about what has been happening, because in the main we had to put up a team, a mayoral committee, which has not been an easy task, to ensure that we have a team that you must run with. I'm sure we can have a reflection about that, the type of experiences, because we have to put up a multi-party. We do not have the numbers. There's 224 councillors, who are 86. We need to get decisions to be approved by council. And for you, a decision to be approved, you do need the 215 113 is 50% plus 1. But of course, we believe how the voting went. There was a consensus, were elected unopposed, that we must strengthen that part to get decisions on the basis of consensus than voting. And for us to do that, it means you must consult all the parties, including those that elected not to field a candidate, and some parties elected not to make part of the executive. Those parties who must continue to engage with them, because their inputs are important. But we're happy because it appears that we're going the right way. Let's just hope that as the winter season approaches, we don't encounter much more issues. But we, at the city government, we must do our part, ensure that our teams, they're ready, our depots, our engineers, so that whenever there's an outage that is outside of load shedding, is actually attended to. But importantly, we do communicate to our communities, because if you don't communicate that you've identified the fault, what is the estimated restoration time, and so forth, communities, they are left in the dark. It really becomes it compounds the problem. Now it's important that we communicate. We've identified the program. We think in the next hour we'll resolve. In the next hour, if there are further challenges, you communicate, you update communities. And I think that is the formula to service delivery. The people who are there were committed, were always on the ground, but also how you communicate. Yeah.
Will you be interested in looking at, we've seen other cities that are looking at alternative energy sources?
Yes, of course. We have been, looking at this. We have, in 2016, I would know because I was in finance, but in 2015, during the era of Mayor Nkosindiphile, we developed a program, and it was approved by council to implement alternatives and renewable energies. We did go out. We appointed about 47, I think 2017, 47 companies. And that process was, of course, delayed by the legislation at the time, which was not very clear. But in 2020, I think the legislation was, much more clarified. National made certain announcement to allow municipalities to go fully, which then unlock the potential of those, projects which were appointed then. We know that those projects are now ready to move. We must just fast track those projects. Those various projects there, from solar, which is the most popular, but there's also other initiatives there. But we also know what we need to fast track now. It's one of the programs that was advertised just recently, which also looks at different program focusing on the base load, gas, and other sources that will be coming out there. Of course, we're going through the state of the city's address. We will get better update so that in the SoC we're able to give definite plans with clear timelines.
Okay. Well, let's think of the question. Something popped up in my mind just now. You speak of consensus and consultation. At times, they have an effect on how speedily you deliver services. Are you not worried that by the time you're balancing forces, getting consensus on your program, key programs, somehow there will be an impact on how speedily you deliver services?
I think the most important part is planning, is at this stage, at this phase. Once you get things right at this phase, we should be able to move with speed. If we get to the state of the city's address, we pronounce. Beyond that is issues of budget. 1st of July, we must be starting the new financial year. That new financial year is entirely on my leadership. For now, we're focusing on closing the year and focusing on what we call 100 days. What are the things that we must close this year properly? We must not let hanging. We must, fast track some of the projects that have been stalling to make sure that we close this year. And that is why we're having 100 days to look at those things that have been stalling. Fast track, close them. But 1st of July, we must not have excuses that we are still consulting, because the program that we're consulting now is a program that we must announce next week Tuesday, and we must then institutionalize it within administration, put proper system, because the first quarter in the first of what is the first quarter is end of September, July, August, September. In the second quarter, which is end of December, we must then have a 6 months into the first year. When we present the midterm results, when we do the adjustment to prepare to close the year, we must now begin to show. You must come back and say, but you said, how far are we?
Yes.
But we must also be realistic. What are the measurable time? The annual results is a fair report that you say, out of a year you've said this is what you want to achieve, how far have we gone? But it doesn't mean periodically we can't, like midterm, to check how far have we gone. It also serves for me as a wake up, what do you call, not wake up, but a reminder that there is no movement in that area, so that we move. We don't wait until 12 months time. So I'm trying to say in Oktula, it is possible for us to have another conversation like this, in January, in February, once we have the midterm results, to say how far have we gone on the commitment that we've made. I'm sure by then we'll be giving a story. In terms of driving the entire economy, we have to restore the Erotropolis program. Beautiful program which became an anchor of the city's economy, but in the last 2.5 years there's been little said about it. So we'll have to restore that program. The fact that we've got the biggest airport in our city, there's about 27 million passengers that transit here, for different reasons, but they transit our space. What does it mean in terms of tourism development? We have got tourism products here that we need to showcase, which assist to create jobs and also contribute to economic growth. But what does it mean in terms of the movement of goods and services? That is industrialization. Whether you are in the light products in terms of manufacturing, whether you are in the agro processing, whether you want a flower, your flowers to be sold in the street of Paris the following day, you have that capability through the airport, that overnight the stuff is in Paris, and that's what drives what you call it, industries these days, is connectivity. If you are based here, how to which extent can you get your products across the globe in terms of market access? And that is the unique capabilities that we have in the city. We've got major highways that are crossing our space, we have major rails, and the strength in terms of logistics and connectivity. It's not just tourism aspect, but is in that capability is what we must continue to actually advocate for, so that we create the much needed jobs for people.
And then Mayor, talking about these initiatives the current administration is concentrating on, there have been allegations that the previous, especially the DA administration, left the city in dire straits. To what extent would you say this is true?
Well, we don't want to enter much into the pointing fingers. Yeah. Of course, there would have been programs that were launched or designed by the past administration from the ANC. Mayor Mondli Gungubele, for instance, the program of Erythropolis I'm talking about. So in the past 2.5 years, there was less focus on that program. Now, when you have less focus on that program, it means some of the work that we had planned, if you look along the R21, you drive towards Tshwane, you pass the airport, you can actually see, with the Riverfield development, with the Blaupan development, with the MNT development, things that are starting to come up. Without leadership and support and articulation, you lose time. If you go further down Inland Port, in the south of Katlehong, City Deep is full, we need to actually unlock that project. If you go Prasa Gibela, we're happy that the trains are actually being produced locally here but there should be more now in terms of engineering capabilities or rail engineering capabilities that we need to actually expand on to actually offer services across the entire value chain. So I'm saying there's quite a lot in terms of unlocking the 200 billion that was at a particular point announced. So we've lost some time there. We need to put and actually fast track some of those projects. There were various other initiatives really that we need to lift and bring them back. The issue of the University of Ekurhuleni, there has been less said in the past 2.5 years, which is an anchor to drive economy, because we do need a skilled nation to be able to take the issue of bursaries for our people, the issue of internship for our people. Some of these projects were characterized as vanity. No, it's a vanity project we're going to do away with. You can't do that because we must be non-partisan in our approach. I'm saying if there are good things that Mayor Campbell was able to introduce, I can't just brush them aside. I must lift them and be able to drive those for the benefit of our communities. If there's a certain good thing that has been driven by Mayor Ngotwana, I must be able to lift those people for the benefit of those things, for the benefit of our communities.
So, Mayor, just to ask a follow-up question on that one. In 20 days, can you say you found the city's financial situation healthy? Are you able to pay attention?
Well, I mean, what we're happy with is that today we had a meeting with the audit committee. We're looking closely at the Auditor General's report. The last report showed a regress from a clean audit to unqualified audit opinion. So that is the last report. So we'll have to look at those issues and attend to them. What we know is that now we've got Operation Clean Audit in place to actually look at that aspect. But we're also happy the updated credit ratings report. There's actually given the city an investor rating, which is a BBB. It goes a long way because it means the fact that we've got a city government executive mayor elected unopposed is a sign for a foundation for stability. And that foundation for stability goes a long way, including to investors, because it means now the tone and the message from the top there's not going to be ambiguity around it. The city is going to move forward. So those attributes really will go a long way in order to get the city to turn around its fortunes in terms of financial management. We are looking at the revenue enhancement program, because without us focusing on the new revenue streams, when our communities are depressed, when there's challenges in the energy, our communities can't pay, then it means the city will be doomed. Now, we must look at other areas. There's land parcels that we need to release to the private sector. And if we leverage on those land parcels, the investment from the private sector, they enables us to have new revenue sources. So we're looking at those areas, and in the State of the City's address, we should share a bit of light there. Yeah.
Okay. In looking for alternative revenue sources, there are allegations, Mayor, that businesses were not in the city paying for services. And I'm sure at Tembisa some would have said that the focus is often on citizens, often the poor, for services. I would like you to get a comment from you on that one, and whether you think that would be a priority. And as you answer the question, the last one will be, do you have got a comment in terms of your administration creating an environment conducive for businesses to invest more in the city? Those are the two last questions.
Yeah, maybe the last one. That's why we spoke about the Erythropolis program, because the Erythropolis program talks exactly to that. How do you consolidate a plan for investor to thrive on our own city? So that's why we said Erythropolis. But before you even get there, you must demonstrate that the basic services are done and they are done right. That you've got land parcels that are strategic enough in terms of your municipal development framework, well pronounced, that you need to inject with resources. Because it's one thing to have a land, but they must be ready to put services to connect it so that an investor comes and settle. But you must also retain that investment. And for you to retain the investment, your policies, your tariffs, your service delivery goes a long way. So I'm saying we are looking at this area because we are a municipality, city government in Gauteng. And we know the Gauteng's contribution in the overall economy of the country. We contribute about 9% of the GDP because of the various capabilities that we have here in terms of manufacturing, in terms of logistics, the movement of goods and services. It's been now the third week or so. We've not had, or fourth week, we've not had, load shedding. It's really a relief for our communities, but importantly for industries. Because if you are running a 24-hour production, operations, and then there is loss of production time, and that impacts on our effort to drive the economy, but the jobs, but also economic growth. Because for us as a city government, we do get an income. If we have planned to collect, so much out of industries, and so much time is lost because there's been no production, there's been no consumption of our services. It does affect, even our ability to generate a revenue. I don't believe that businesses are not paying, because businesses contribute quite a lot in terms of our revenue. It is industry that pays, that subsidize our community in terms of paying for services. And once that area is neglected, we're doomed. What makes us different from other municipalities elsewhere is because of the industrial capabilities that we're having. It's not just for industry to create jobs for our people, but it's to assist us to pay for services so that we can take the money, reinvest back in our services, make intervention in the poorest areas. So we do need business to thrive. We'll have to look closely at what is happening, who's paying, who's not paying, and what are the challenges, what makes you not to pay. Even if you are in the business, if your productions are suppressed, what type of productivity measures and other support that we can mobilize to assist you. Through other partners, through the province, through engagement with the Department of Trade and Industry. There's various agencies of government that are available to assist industries to thrive. But as a bottom line, everybody must pay for services. We can't target the poorest of the poor. We can't target our residents who are already depressed and leave industries. We must get industries to do their part and pay for services. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mayor, for your time. And all the best.
Thanks a lot. It's been it's